everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. I actually thought it was Wednesday, and the reason is because of the volume of true crime news that just kind of avalanched over us today. And one of the stories that I was not expecting to cover was this whole Drake, Kendrick, Lamar business. I watched it all weekend, and I don't even like rap. I mean, I like Eminem, but I don't really like rap. I also like Drake because he's Canadian, but it turns out you can't ignore this anymore because it is literally everywhere throughout pop culture. I'm going to totally get you up to speed on this. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what this shooting in Canada overnight meant. Somebody opened fire on Drake's house and shot his security guard. So it's not cute or bad boy cute anymore. And by the way, because I always smell a rat, I also have this question like, are we being played like fiddles? You know, is this rap war a joke? Are we the ones who are the joke? Is it all contrived because of business? And I'll tell you why I think that in just a moment. And then there's this. This story looked like it was going to be massive. A pastor has a sermon and goes through the whole sermon before at the end just happens to mention, oh, and by the way, last night my wife killed herself. Oh, yeah, killed herself. Definitely mental health issues. Anyway, he seemed so suspicious. And the internet grabbed it. I mean, this was a super curious story, not the least of which because her own family said, not so fast. Do not believe what that minister is saying. Do not believe that our beloved sister, daughter, etc., killed herself. We smell a rat too. Huge plot twist tonight. Huge. And the story for this program is a critical story for the true crime community. And that is that all is not as it appears. And we need to be very mindful of that. I am going to give you the exact rundown of all the evidence that came out today, what her family was told, and then added to that, why if you live a risque life, well, if something else happens, you're going to struggle to get the benefit of the doubt. Because it turns out this pastor has a few more skeletons in the closet. But one of them is not going to be murder. There's a teaser. Okay, so then also, in the Idaho double murders, it's almost as though we have forgotten more than we know. There has been so much information in the last year and a half since those 4 innocent kids were slaughtered in their off-campus house. But way, way back, there was a big detail that everyone seized on. It was Papa Roger. I know it's probably jarring your memory, but for those who think I get it, I just can't remember the detail. Papa Roger was an online alias, like a name that someone used, an avatar, to get into social media groups and add some thoughts, some theories, some ideas for what might have happened. And Papa Roger mysteriously vanished off social media the day that Brian Kohberger was arrested. So a lot of people thought, he sure knows a lot. And he sure did go dark fast. Tonight, we have new and exclusive reporting on that. Have police actually connected the dots? All of that is coming in just a moment. But let me start here. Rap battles, not generally my jam. I'm more of an Anne Murray fan than a Drake fan, but I will always stand by my Canadians. So when Drake's $100 million mansion in Toronto became a crime scene last night, now you're talking my language. Let me look at this. It just blows me away when I see that. He is arguably one of the most successful rappers of all time. So naturally, he has security posted outside that 50,000 square foot home. By the way, that home is in one of the most ritzy neighborhoods in Toronto. I used to know somebody who lived in that neighborhood, and I remember driving through it thinking, damn, one day. Still waiting on that day. But look at that place, 50,000 square feet. Overnight, someone drove by and got close enough or at least had some kind of an aim and opened fire on his security guard, hitting him in the chest. And at last report, that guard was in serious condition. Thank God. It looks like it's not a life-threatening gunshot wound to the chest. And police won't say at this point whether Drake was actually home at the time. That someone opened fire in this ritzy neighborhood at Drake's $100 million mansion. But if you have seen any media at all in the last few days, you probably know about an escalating feud between Drake and a fellow rapper named Kendrick Lamar. These two have been trading insults in, the way only rappers can, by dropping musical tracks, ripping into each other. So if you're in the know, you know that they're called diss tracks, right? And it's not just the world of hip-hop that is watching this war between these rap titans. It is fully in the domain of mainstream culture now. Take a look.
I usually try to stay out of the rap beefs. But tonight I think it's time I finally weigh in and perform my diss track against both Drake and Kendrick. And it goes a little something like, what's that?
Are you Team Kendrick or Team Drake? And I'm like, can't I be Team Rap in general? Because now every rapper is getting mixed into this beef like they were chopped onions and cayenne pepper. I mean, you got Kanye, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, As Soon as Possible Rocky.
Y'all, these diss tracks are getting insane. I've been away for the past 48 hours trying to piece it all together.
I bet Drake is going to tease Kendrick about selling more albums, and Kendrick is going to make some playful jabs about Drake being a Toronto Raptors fan. So let the ribbing begin.
In his diss tracks, Drake claims Kendrick abuses and cheats on his fiancée, while Kendrick accuses Drake of being a pedophile.
Oh, that got dark. We went from zero to Epstein in about one weekend.
That's it. It did. It went from zero to Epstein in like a weekend. And then it went to Scarface with somebody opening fire. Police are actually saying we don't know yet if what happened last night has anything to do with this Drake and Lamar beef. But it did happen on the weekend of Hellraiser. But things are bad enough that the WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels has now invited these two megastars to settle their differences in the ring. And he wrote this on X. Little sweet chin music goes a long way, Kendrick Lamar. You and Drake are formally invited to hashtag WWE NXT to settle this thing. I mean, even offering my services to mediate. Okay, if you still need a little more background on all of this, get a little comfy. Drake is a Toronto-born 5-time Grammy winner and one of the best-selling recording artists of all time. Big. And Canadian. Kendrick Lamar has 16 Grammys and was the first rapper to win a Pulitzer Prize for his 2017 album, Damn. The two have been at each other's throats for years, but it exploded in March with Kendrick Lamar dropping this surprise verse on a song with two other rappers that was called Like That. Basically, Lamar rejected the idea that Drake even belongs in his league. He said, it's just me. It's just big me, he said in his lyric. And Drake responded with a diss track of his own called Push-Ups. I'm going to play that for you. Take a look.
Big three. It's just big me. I'm really like that. And your best work is a light pack. Prince outlived Mike Jack. Ain't in no big three. SZA got you wiped down. Travis got you wiped down. Savage got you wiped down. Like your label, boy, you in a scope right now.
So you can see this is like a dueling, set of diss tracks there. And the dueling continued. And in the tracks that followed, so far I think we're up to around 7. Please don't scream at me if I got it wrong. I'm not a rap fan. I'm doing my best here. But Drake ended up calling out Kendrick's shoe size and then deep fake Tupac's voice to mock him, while Kendrick called Drake a scam artist and a liar, and fans, ate it all up. But then over the weekend, like you heard, it went from zero to Epstein. Things took a really nasty turn. The disses became allegations and threats and took pot shots at family members. A track from Kendrick essentially accused Drake of being a pedophile. So I know you heard about it, but here's the actual track.
Always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed. You just acting like an activist. It's make-believe. Don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees.
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father. Let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that your father not active inside your world. He don't commit to much, but it's music, yeah, that's for sure. He a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs. Try to destroy families rather than taking care of his own. song. Say, Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
So I think you're getting the idea there. Back and forth, ugly, ugly, nasty. I am joined now by Jason Lee. Jason is a friend of Drake's. He also worked for P. Diddy and Kanye West. He was on the hit reality show Love and Hip Hop, and he's landed some of the biggest interviews in hip hop on his podcast, Hollywood Unlocked. He's also running to be a city council member in Stockton, California. Super great to have you here, Jason. Thank you for being on the show, because I feel like one of those anchors on the SNL skit, what was it, Good Morning Greenville? Like, I just feel like I'm out of my element here. So help me understand. Rap to me has always been the bad boys going after each other, but has this really gone off the rails?
Yeah, let me just do a quick reset. Drake and I have known him before he became the megastar that he is, and I had a show on Diddy's network, but we're not friends and I'm not there anymore. But let me just say this. This is great. What we're watching with Kendrick and Drake is great for hip hop. I think hip hop is built on being able to trade lyrics that may take jabs. Sometimes it goes lower below the belt than it should. But I've been excited to watch this a treasure chest of rap lyrics shot back and forth between the two. No pun intended. I think that Drake is one of the most phenomenal rappers in history, and Kendrick Lamar will go down as probably the best, if not the best of this generation. So I don't see it as a continuation of exchanges and songs. You know, I don't know where Drake is in the world or Kendrick, but I don't think that Kendrick got on the jet, flew to Canada to shoot Drake.
Well, I don't know that anybody, thinks that, but there is this ripple effect, right? Somebody did something that now takes it out of the entertaining, silo. And now it takes it into the criminal arena. And that's where I'm concerned. Look, people are sad that Biggie and Tupac are both gone, and it was because of warring. Is that where this is headed, or am I sort of out of my element?
No, I think you're doing a great job. I just want to add a different lens. I'm running for city council because me and my family live in a community where I've been shot. My brother was murdered here, and I understand that crime and being victims or survivors of violent crimes is a real thing. That's why I'm dealing with real issues, right? But I lived through the Tupac and Biggie war and the West Coast, East Coast thing. That was fueled by media that made a thing that started out in music, turned into something that led to violence, that turned into something that where now we are, we're talking about them post both of them being murdered. I think that sometimes music and rap beefs or rap lyrics or rap songs that are fueled by this back and forth creativity, which I would say is art, sometimes takes on a life of its own where people in the community who are fans of different people jump in it and try to take it on for themselves. So, I don't know that, and I haven't heard anybody claim that the shooting in Canada was in direct relation to this back and forth trade of songs. And I just want to be responsible in making sure that we're not fueling flames that gaslight people to get involved in something that is on music now and in music and then turns into something where people really get.
That's what I keep thinking. Look, in music, I think it's great. People throw shade. They do all these things. It may be hyped up. It may not. I don't know. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute because I always smell a rat when there's money involved. But I do think that, Kendrick posted an image of this home and almost directions how to get there as though he's a sex offender, like the sex offender registry sort of thing. And that's where I started to wonder, where is the line between bad boys throwing shade and bad boys doing something that may have led to a very innocent man fighting for his life in the hospital? And thank God he's alive. Thank God he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I saw the artwork. I have to tell you, I posted a video on my Instagram story yesterday in one of my homes, dancing hysterically to that song that cover art is a part of, because Kendrick Lamar has reignited West Coast rap to the extent that everybody on the East Coast is talking about. I mean, I think it is what fuels hip hop. And all of these people that we're talking about are some of the best storytellers that our culture has ever seen. And so, yeah, I think, again, sometimes fans of different people, and of course with social media now, people around the world are listening to this and living it in real time. And, I'm not, but I still don't know enough to know that the shooting was directly related. And I think it would be reckless for people to just assume a song came out today, a shooting happened tomorrow. People are getting shot all over the world every day. We watch that. You guys report on it. So I don't think that the culture of hip hop should be marred in, the trajectory of some other rap battles that have happened. We saw Remy Ma and Nicki Minaj have a historic moment where Remy put out Sheether and used a cut up body of Nicki Minaj. It doesn't mean she wants her to get cut up or get hurt, but it's the artwork that illustrates the musical art. And I think that Kendrick in that song specifically was a genius.
I would just hate for one of her, followers, like how Eminem sings about the guy, his crazy fan who went and threw his girlfriend in the trunk, and then drove her off a bridge because he's so hyped up on the lyrics. I would hate to think that whoever opened fire at Drake's mansion was hopped up on this fight and wanted to do something about it. To that end, let me ask you, again, I always smell a rat. I follow the money, and I see, tell me if I'm wrong, but we were looking up, Drake and Lamar, I think they're both signed to Universal Music Group, so they're in the same label. Is it a total conspiracy theory to think that Universal Music Group is just, at the cash register saying, ka-ching, ka-ching, boy, this was well orchestrated?
Well, see, now you're trotting down a lane that's going to get really sticky. Okay, because if you look at icons like Tupac and Biggie and even Nipsey Hussle, who was a community legend and an icon on his way up. When they died, everybody got rich, and it's sad to say that is part of the challenge when these artists make these labels richer or are, and I'm not trying to be shady here, slaves to these labels. This is what happens, right? Everybody that's in that boardroom that's watching this go down isn't doing anything but watching the lining of those bank accounts go up while these two rappers do what they are talented at doing. But again, I look at it as this is art, and I hope that everybody watching, because I know you got lots of people watching you, understand that this is what our culture does when it comes to rap battles. Now, how it builds outside of the music, how fans feel like they need to be a part of it and go and take measures into their own hands, that is a crazy, I think, sideshow of the reality in social media. Now, I will say, having been around Drake in private moments, Drake's security is like military. So I don't even know how close it got to his home, but I mean, Drake has some pretty serious security around him. So it was surprising to even hear that happened.
I was shocked too. And that whole community, the Bridle Path area in Toronto, it's such a gated area. There's so much security. I was just astounded to hear it, but it did. And Jason Lee, I hope that you're going to answer the phone every time I call, because I'm going to start calling a lot. Thank you for this tonight. It's really great to meet you. Even better to talk to you.
Call me anytime you want. I'm here.
It's a deal. Okay. Thank you for that. And still to come, folks, devastating, absolutely devastating news for those friends and the family members of Micah Miller, but also maybe news that gives them closure. Today, the police showed them clear-cut evidence that the South Carolina pastor's wife indeed did take her own life. But we've also learned a lot more about that pastor husband and the troubling double life that he was leading while married to Micah. And that is all coming up next. Assume nothing, suspect everything and everyone. And that is rule number one in my business. But rule number two is this. Sometimes things really are what they appear to be. And that appears to be the case in the highly suspicious death last month of Micah Miller, the estranged wife of a pastor in South Carolina. The internet was on fire with allegations that her husband must have had something to do with it. He was odd in the way he announced her death to his congregation. Micah had posted about domestic abuse, and her family said she would never kill herself. But today, investigators in North Carolina, where Micah died, met with her family and laid out in excruciating detail how Micah planned and carried out a suicide and why they are certain that she was not murdered. It comes down to a timeline of Micah's final hours back on April 27th, and I want to take you through it. It's important. Evidence. At 11:38 a.m., Micah's Ring camera sees her leaving her apartment in Myrtle Beach. Right? 12:12, she's caught on a security camera walking into a pawn shop alone, where she buys a handgun and ammunition. At 2:54 p.m., she calls 911 from the Lumber River State Park, where her body would be found hours later. NewsNation has decided not to air the audio of the call or even the quote verbatim, but I can tell you basically what was said. It was very quick. Micah tells her dispatcher that she's about to kill herself and wants her family to know where to find her body. And she really says little else. She speaks very matter-of-factly to the operator. And the operator asks her to stay on the line, but Micah hangs up. Deputies track her phone, and they find her car at that park. A fisherman finds her bag after hearing someone was crying in the bushes and then heard a gunshot. Micah's body was found in the water a short time later, and those, my friends, are the facts. But the speculation centered on other facts, namely that Micah and her husband, John Paul Miller, were in the midst of a bitter separation. And after Micah died, her husband's church, the Solid Rock Ministries in Myrtle Beach, announced that he was released from his pastoral duties indefinitely. And then there are the other details about her husband's past. In 1998, he faced multiple charges after allegedly hitting a woman twice with his car. Former members of the church say he was having an affair with another congregant while he was married to Micah. And just today, another woman, a waitress, came forward to say that he had texted her asking her for nude photos. They allegedly connected after the pastor left her a huge tip and then wrote his phone number on the receipt. The woman, whom we're referring to only as Christiana, appeared on NewsNation earlier tonight, and here's some of what she said.
He repeatedly asks you to send pictures of yourself.
Yes.
Including bikini pictures, and he called you super hot. You most recently texted him after you heard his wife was dead. What surprised you about his response?
Honestly, it didn't really surprise me all that much. I kind of suspected that it wasn't going to be what you would expect from a grieving husband.
What did he say?
I asked him if anything was new, and he more or less said, yes, lots new, LOL. I'll text later.
LOL? Laugh out loud?
Yes.
All right. And it's at that point that you said, okay, no more with this guy, right?
Actually, I was pretty aware of things from the beginning. I had some suspicions. There were some red flags. I did some research before I even texted him, and then after I did, I spoke with a friend of mine whose friend had a very negative experience, a mortifying experience, really, with him and his church.
What happened?
And that's her story to tell. I know that she witnessed some things that were not appropriate and faced some harassment when she tried to speak out about it.
I want to bring in our friend Mark Garagos. He's a trial attorney and the co-host of the Reasonable Doubt podcast with Adam Carolla. Okay, Garagos, people love to take potshots at lawyers, but this is why defense lawyers do the job that they do, right? You can have a total scumbag, somebody whose skeletons are spilling out all over the place as something else happens beside him that he looks very, very guilty about. And look what happened today. It's just, there's no issue. He has an alibi. There's evidence that she killed herself. I wanted you to get the opportunity to talk about how this is the problem that you face in crimes like this.
You and I have talked before in the pre-Trump era. Every May, it seemed like every May, there would be either a missing woman or a woman who was murdered, and then there was instantaneous kind of this axis of evil of people breathlessly accusing the male of the crime, and this had all the earmarks of it. It was down to the videos and the texts and the other women and everything that you could ever want. If the police had not come out and said that, look, we've got license plate pictures, screen grabs that we've taken from the toll road. We have an alibi of where he had spent the night. He wasn't even in the jurisdiction. And and frankly, I was talking with your producer about it, if there wasn't the demonstrable evidence that she had purchased the gun, he would be, if not in custody, they would have already basically convicted him in absentia, and that's the worry in these cases. You're off to the races before you even start.
Yeah, I mean, this is the picture that did it for me. She is in the pawn shop buying this gun all by herself. People jumped online saying she was forced to, probably the woman that her husband was having the affair with killed her and then made it look like a suicide and probably called 911 pretending to be her. You can't refute the fact that she was in there by herself, moments before she used that gun that she's buying. Here's the other question I have for you. Are there any civil actions anywhere here? I look at the 20 minutes that it took her from the moment she walked in the door to get that gun. 20 minutes, that's all it took to get the gun, and then she used it to kill herself. And the way the husband had behaved, there are all sorts of allegations that he was emotionally abusive to her. I think there's suggestions that, she was 14 when they met and maybe not that young, not that old when they, turned into a relationship. Is there any civil action, wrongful death that can flow out of the pattern of facts you've seen?
Well, you can always conjure up a cause of action. It's whether or not it's something that will stick, number one. And number two, most plaintiffs' lawyers work on a contingency. If there is a client who can come up with a cause of action, is there somebody who can pay? I hate to kind of rip off the Band-Aid of what civil justice is, but that is kind of the calculation.
Yeah, it is. Mark, thank you. Appreciate it. You were the first person I thought of when it comes to a case like this. It's not often that it's this kind of resolution this quickly, but I appreciate your input. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
And Mark is on a really long delay tonight. I got to find out what's going on with that little studio. We're going to have to fix that. I do want to note, though, that police now say that they have proof that John Paul Miller was nowhere near Micah's location. We talked about this, the alibi. There are more than one witness. So if you think it was just the woman maybe he was having an affair with, of course, it was more than one witness. That's important. We're going to follow the story, and if there are more developments, we'll certainly give them to you. But I also want to let you know, if anyone who's watching right now is in distress or having suicidal thoughts, there is a brand new and very easy way to find somebody to talk to. And it's easy. There it is, 988. This is the new 3-digit phone number that will direct you immediately to the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's 100% free. It's 100% confidential. 988. And still to come tonight, a message to my fellow parents out there. Try not to throw something at the TV screen when you see this next guy pop up. He is the former flight attendant accused of secretly recording a young girl as she used the toilet on board his flight. Tonight, I've got an update, and the feds say they've got plenty more evidence and more young victims. Details next. Let me tell you up front, this is one of those stories that keeps parents up at night, which also makes it a story that parents really need to hear. We first brought it to your attention in January. It was the case of an American Airlines flight attendant. That's him right there. His name is, it's kind of a weird name. It's a little different. It's Estes Carter Thompson III. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Estes Carter Thompson III. He was on a flight to Boston last fall. And Thompson, again, the flight attendant, was allegedly caught hiding his cell phone camera in the plane's bathroom and recording a 14-year-old girl as she used the toilet. Let's just let that sink in. Unfortunately for Mr. Thompson, and fortunately for the rest of us, the girl spotted the camera, took a picture of it with her own phone and told her parents, and Mr. Thompson was busted. The feds say that he made similar recordings of at least 4 other girls, and one of them was just 7. Now tonight, Estes Carter Thompson III is formally indicted, and the charges are serious. Attempted sexual exploitation of children and possession of child pornography depicting a prepubescent minor. I want to welcome back to the program Paul Llewellyn. He is an attorney representing the girl whose quick thinking on board that flight resulted in Thompson being arrested. Mr. Llewellyn is also now representing another of Thompson's alleged victims. Paul, thanks for being on again. First and foremost, we talked back in January. That's like 5 months ago. How is your client, the 14-year-old girl, doing?
She's struggling. Fortunately, she has a great family. They're trying to support her all they can, but this has obviously had a profound impact on her. I'll give you an example. She goes out walking or running. She takes pepper spray with her now. We don't know what the long-term effects will be on her, but this has clearly had a awful impact on both her and her family.
And you have now taken on representation of another one of the alleged victims of Mr. Thompson. Is the pattern of what happened to your other victim the same as the pattern that happened to your 14-year-old client?
As far as we know, yes. So after the 14-year-old, she alerted authorities. The FBI analyzed the phone of Thompson, and that's how they were able to ascertain the other images. So between January and September last year, they recovered images of 5 of those girls. A few months ago, every parent's worst nightmare, they get a knock on the door. The parents answered, it's the FBI. Is this your daughter? They did not even know that their daughter had been filmed. She was on a trip to Disneyland with her family. What should have been the most joyous occasion has turned into a living nightmare.
Disneyland. It just, gets uglier.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea if this door knocking by the feds has resulted in a lot more potential victims that they're still investigating? I would imagine that this is a lengthy process, trying to identify, nameless girls on a phone, if they do exist, and match them to real people and real families.
I do know that the 5 families have been identified, and the FBI has contacted those 5 families. What we don't know is how many other victims are there out there. If someone is so brazen, so bold to do this, I doubt this is the only phone they use. I doubt these are the only victims. So unfortunately, we do not know how many victims there are of this individual.
And so if there are more that, as the media picks up the story and as the social media carries this further out into the ether, how do you find out about them? Because at this point, you're almost at class action status. You've got 2 clients, and who knows if there are more?
No, if someone knows they are a victim or a suspected victim, I would certainly encourage them to contact the authorities, contact the FBI, and or contact an attorney to evaluate what the next steps are.
Yeah, it was a very weird thing. He took, official stickers from the airplane. I believe they said, laboratory broken. And
That's
he
right.
taped the phone, allegedly, onto the toilet by telling, there it is there. He used those stickers to tape the phone. And I guess the light was left on, and that's how your client recognized, that's odd. That's a bright light coming off stickers, and it was actually a camera lens. But the MO was that he allegedly had said to the girls, you can't use the toilet right now. I need to go in and wash my hands. And then after he came out, he let them in, allegedly. And this is what they saw. So if anybody's watching and you saw something like this, or if your children may have seen something like this, contact the authorities right away. Paul Llewellyn, thank you so much. Keep us posted on how this develops.
Definitely. And thank you for having me on your show, Ashleigh. I appreciate it.
Pleasure is ours, for sure, and I hope you do good work for those poor victims. Okay, still to come, more reporting that you're only going to see right here on NewsNation. Does the name Papa Roger ring a bell? Because it's certainly raised a few eyebrows among those who follow the Idaho quadruple murder case. Many thought a person online who goes by that name, Papa Roger, seemed to know a heck of a lot more about the crime in Idaho than a casual observer would. Now, something's come up that suggests they might be onto something. I've got the details next. I want to take you back to those nerve-wracking weeks between the Idaho student murders and the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. A lot of people had a lot to say, like online and pretty much everywhere else, about who might have done it, how they might have done it, why they might have done it, why they hadn't been caught yet. And one of those people who was online a lot went by the name of Papa Roger. That name sort of faded over time, but tonight, a NewsNation exclusive. New reporting on that mysterious member of a Facebook group, discussion group, who always seemed to know more than everybody else about the dastardly murders on King Road, and who many thought might actually be the killer himself. It is all laid out in the season finale of the Crime Nation series on our sister network, CW. Take a look. In early December, Alina Smith and Christine Cameron discover some information on their Facebook page, and it could dramatically alter the investigation.
We had a member on our page by the name of Papa Roger, and the way he spoke gave everybody just like a very off feeling. They weren't your normal, inquisitive, true crime questions. They were very detailed, very descriptive statements about the crime scene. He would talk about where the bodies were positioned in the house, which really made a lot of people uncomfortable. And the way he phrased questions. Do we think the person took something from the scene? And people would reply, do you? I do. Alina and I talked about how creepy he was. And then tons of people talked about, I bet you the killer's on this page. We have 250,000 people. I'm sure the killer's on this page.
If the killer did, in fact, join this Facebook group, I think what we're looking at is some of his own need to be looked at.
You can watch that episode of Crime Nation, Murder in a College Town, right now, actually, on YouTube, on Apple TV, on the CW, and on all of your streaming apps as well. And then there's something else, too, that's hard to ignore. According to the members of that Facebook group, messages from Papa Roger suddenly stopped the day Bryan Kohberger was arrested. Nobody is saying outright that Kohberger is Papa Roger, but it was suspicious enough to the admins of that Facebook group that they provided all of their data to the FBI. And if that isn't creepy enough, take a look at this. This is the Facebook admins. The other online sleuths found this long, unused YouTube channel created by somebody called Papa Roger way back in 2017. It's actually still up, so you can go and you can visit it. There's no content there and just a few subscribers. But take a close look at the YouTube name, Papa Roger _1121. November 21st is Bryan Kohberger's birthday. 1121. Bryan Kohberger's birthday is 1121. Coincidence, or the graphic as well that the creator of this channel used to personalize the top of his feed? That looks extraordinary and familiar. Go watch that season finale episode of Crime Nation, Murder in a College Town. It is streaming right now. Still to come, she has been a danger to herself or to others before, so much so she was involuntarily committed. But is Britney Spears in as much danger now? Troubling social media posts and a paramedic's call have a lot of people asking, should Britney be left alone to fend for herself, or should someone step in to save her? Her latest reasons for a very troubling few days. Next. All this fuss over a twisted ankle? All this fuss over a pop star behaving strangely? Sadly, yes, because of who Britney Spears is and what Britney has been through before. Last week, you will remember that paramedics were called out to the posh hotel restaurant Chateau Marmont in LA, from which Britney Spears emerged nearly naked, wrapped in a blanket, and obviously distraught. The witnesses said that she'd been drinking and fighting with her boyfriend out in the halls. And when it hit the headlines on Friday, she posted that it was a body double. Fake news, nothing to see here. But then over the weekend, she followed up with this post instead.
Okay, guys, so you know, I really twisted my ankle last night like an idiot, just to show proof. Don't look at my feet. I need a manicure. It's so bad. An idiot here tries to do a leap in the living room at the chateau, and I fell, embarrassed myself, and that's it. Paramedics came to my door illegally, of course, caused this huge scene, which was so unnecessary, and all I needed was ice. But yeah, it is actually pretty bad, but happens. A little foot, you know, and then Jesus.
She sounds pretty upset, but mystery solved. She does admit it was not a body double as she had first claimed. And that ankle does look painful, although it is unclear what was making her cry in that video. What is more clear is that first responders were likely not there illegally. And then yesterday she posted this update. I'll read it for you. I honestly wish my life was as wild as it has been portrayed. Either way, some shit actually has happened to my foot and I might have to get surgery. Fingers crossed, hopefully not, but I feel that I was harassed and gaslit and tricked to go on the street when my car was supposed to be there. I was in my pajamas, and yes, I had been crying because I hurt my foot. No breakdown. I'm a grown-ass woman who is actually very naive in most situations. I am simply embarrassed they got me in my damn pajamas. I don't feel loved. I feel mistreated. With that said, I'm going to treat myself this week. And then she posted a video of herself going on a horseback ride with no indication when the video was actually made. But it seems questionable that it is a new video because her ankle is so badly injured. In any case, the question really is, how much more of Free Britney can Britney Spears actually take? You can actually say what you will about the conservatorship, and plenty of people do. But at least she survived it for more than a decade. And God, let's hope that Britney is safe and healthy 1 decade from now. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to continue to follow that Drake story, not because it's about hip-hop, because I know nothing about hip-hop, but more because somebody decided to open fire on his $100 million mansion. And there is an innocent security guard who's in the hospital with a gunshot wound to the chest. Expected to live, but there's something more to the story. Stay tuned. Cuomo's coming up next.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Cuomo. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Trite but true, right? You know the expression. But as a nation, we're not putting it into practice. And the difference that makes is everything.